Yo, 2011 Chevy Aveo. It's got one of these. Somebody just put a brand new intake boot on this, probably trying to fix the problem. That didn't do it. This car's kind of tricky. I'm looking at the long-term and short-term fuel trim, and it kind of looks okay. Usually the long-term or the short-term, you don't want anything over like 9. When it came in hot, the long-term was right at, it was maxed out at like 29, and the short-term was about 0. Then I let it cool down for about an hour or two, and it looks fine. So what I'm reading right now shouldn't even pull a code. When it first came in, I was looking around for intake leaks. You know, you just take like a flammable mix. I got brake cleaner here. You just got to make sure it's flammable, extremely flammable. If I just hose it down, you know, like if there's a leak in this air tube, and then I just look at my fuel trim, and it should run negative if there's a leak somewhere. None of this fuel trim's running negative, obviously, so there's not a problem with an intake leak or an air tube for the throttle body or anything like that. It's all pretty solid. I can take this oil fill cap off, and I can tell there's vacuum in it. I can feel the cap getting sucked down on the valve cover. And of course I look at the fuel trim then, and it goes way high, and the car don't run right. So I'm thinking this has got a bad PCV valve, and I've been looking around on this thing, and apparently it's in the valve cover. You got to replace the valve cover. You might be able to clean it out. I don't really know. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to test it first, see if I'm right about something. I put that cap back on, and the short term's super negative and the long term's positive, so the long term should come down back to 0. It'll all stabilize itself and work its way back down real slow. Just like that. And at an idle, that PCV valve's supposed to be closed. And then when you're cruising and you get low or no vacuum, it kind of opens up, and it lets the crankcase breathe. The hydrocarbons from the crankcase, which is basically a flammable mix, it runs it through the engine to keep the crankcase and the engine clean. It just burns it all off. I don't think that system's working right. So I'm going to try to fix this without replacing a valve cover. I can take this plastic wire loom thing and just kind of pop it out of the way a little bit. Got fuel injector wires and all kinds of stuff on it. I just want to do that to be able to get at this PCV hose here. I can take a pick and pull this back like so. I can pull this hose off. There's another one of them clippy things on the throttle body here. Pull that out. This should be manifold vacuum, and I just found a rubber plug. I'm just going to cap that off. Fuel trim still looks okay with all of that disconnected and plugged off. Of course, I take my cap off, and it's not getting sucked down. It's actually getting blown up now, which is what a crankcase is supposed to do. And my fuel trim, when I take this cap off now, it doesn't even move. I found a PCV valve for a 2000 Honda Civic, and I'm thinking this is going to work. This barb might be a little small. I might need a reducer, but we'll see. I just got to make sure that this side is facing the valve cover, the engine side. You can't have these backwards. So I'm going to destroy this thing. I'm going to get a utility knife out, and I'm going to cut this hose off. Try not to wreck the barb. I'm going to use this. It's a little bit small. Just like most things, I never know what I'm doing till I'm done. This is 1/2-inch heater hose. It's a little small. It's the right size for this, and a little small for that. Here's some 5/8 heater hose. That's the right stuff for that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have to try to find some reducers for this. That's the kind of mess I'm dealing with so far. Okay, I'm hoping I got this figured out. I went to Maynard's and I got a 3/4 by 1/2 inch PEX adapter. I'm thinking this and this and this somehow, and like that or something. So I'm not going to use any 1/2 inch heater hose. I got some 3/8 inch fuel line here and some 5/8 heater hose. First thing I'm going to do is cut a chunk off of this. And like that. This is a little bit big, this hose, but I'm going to clamp it down. I think it's going to be okay. I kind of want to use these small clamps, so these look kind of huge and bulky. I could put 2 of them together, I suppose. Since that's the weakest part, I put a clamp on that, and I'm just going to toss this in the car now and see if that's going to work. And no, not going to work, because making this bend is too tight. I can't do it. Okay, time for round 2. I'm thinking a PCV valve with a 90-degree angle is for a 1996 Civic. The parts store didn't have one though, so I just dug through all their PCV valves and came up with this number from Oh Really. Oh, it's a little smaller, but I think it'll work. I'm going to leave that kind of loose so I can get it to the right angle that I want. I went and bought some 3/8 hose too. Power steering hose, just because it was, I don't know, like $6. Seems to be the right size. That'll work. And that's really tight going on to this PEX adapter. I'm just going to force this on here like so. I don't even think I'm going to need a clamp for that, because that's really tight on there. Clamp this down. Just because. This barbed side is really super tight too, so I'm going to leave that alone and try that. So now I'm thinking this will go on like so. And I got my 90 there. And I just cut a chunk of this hose just to make a guesstimate. Looks like I got to cut it right about there. Oh, still a little bit long. Okay, I cut the thing just a little bit shorter. Looks like I'm in the ballpark. Move my clippy thing back. I think that's going to work just like that. Plug in my little wire clippy things. Tighten this hose down. It's probably all I need to do, because these barbs are really tight. I don't see this coming off, so I'm just going to leave that without any clamps on it at all. Plug my wire loom thingy back down. I'm going to run this thing and see what happens. I let it idle for a couple of minutes. The fuel trim went down a little bit, starting to work its way negative a little. So that did something different. My oil fill cap isn't getting sucked back down. So instead of spending $150 on a valve cover, I spent like $12, and I'm going to call it a job. Okay, bye.